Our team proposes to make the CEABF solvent and preserve the pension benefits of county workers who serve the residents of Cook. According to the ABO calculations, the plan is currently underfunded by $9.3 billion. This represents a funding level of approximately 58%. We have been thoughtful in our discussions, sensitive to the financial, political, and legislative difficulties with each idea and their cumulative impact. We contend the current form of the plan and its benefit calculations are not sustainable. Defaulting on the plan is not acceptable. We focused on reducing the structural liabilities through cuts in benefits and a modest increase in property taxes to share the burden in solving this problem. It is necessary that both employees of the county and property owners are involved in the solution to this puzzle. Our proposals work to keep the plan viable based on 5 practical plans to strengthen the fund. Our goal is to create a pension system that correlates to real market conditions. This is necessary to reduce the impact of unforeseeable funding challenges in the future. First, benefits will correlate cost of living adjustments to the CPI to eliminate the inflation risks. By correlating retirement age to life expectancy, the fund eliminates the risk due to longevity of its members. By correlating the discount rates to the actual rates of return achieved by the fund mitigates the investment risk. The shifting of health benefit cost completely out of the fund eliminates the current cost and the future risks of this benefit. And by adopting an actuarially required contribution for the employer normal costs instead of the current 1.54 multiplier, the fund will guarantee its sustainability in the long term, imitating a successful approach used by New York Common. In the scenario in which the funding is frozen, the impact values for the current conditions of funding for Cook County workers are displayed in this table. In the next series of slides, the input values are held constant except for the expected rate of return. As mentioned, the plan is currently underfunded by $9.3 billion. If the funding is frozen, based on the current expected rate of return of 7.5%, the pension assets will be depleted by the year 2030. If the fund was frozen, and we assumed all non-vested members would ask for the refund of their contributions, it would lead to the peak of outflow seen in 2013. In the case in which ongoing funding continues, the assets will be depleted by the year 2034. We view neither scenario as an acceptable option. The following series of slides demonstrates the case in which funding is frozen and the impact of varying rates of return on the date of the funds are depleted. This slide demonstrates the rate of return at which the plan will remain fully funded into perpetuity. It needs to be emphasized it is not realistic to believe this rate could be sustained over time. Therefore, other funding measures are needed. Cook County uses an aggressive discount rate of 7.5% that does not match the certainty of the benefits promised. This rate implies a risk of default. The risk-free rate should be used for discounting to guarantee the promised benefits will be paid. At the 4% risk-free rate, the UAAL goes out of control to an alarming $22.9 billion. We propose keeping a 7.5% rate of return in the calculations, although the average return over 30 years has been 8.4%, which would support the 7.5% rate under GASB. We did not consider a decrease in the expected rate of 6% for future reporting in analyzing our proposed reforms. We hold that a rate of 7.5% is plausible, considering the Cook County GO bond yields as of November 2013 of approximately 5.3% pre-tax, or 8.2%. We created a dynamic graph demonstrating the impact of changes in the rate of return in the situation where the funding is ongoing, but elected to leave it out because of time constraints. If the Cook County pension was to be frozen as of the last day of the available financial statements and the expected aggressive rate of return of 7.5% was achieved, the fund would deplete its assets by the year 2030. To satisfy all its liabilities, the fund needs to achieve an arithmetic rate of return of 10.6% or higher. In comparison, if the Cook County Fund continues on an ongoing basis without using the resources from additional tax increases, spending cuts, bond issues, or other sources such as hiring more employees or reducing promised benefits, it will deplete its assets by 2034, assuming a 7.5% expected rate of return. And, to satisfy its liabilities, the fund needs to achieve an arithmetic rate of return. The plan provided workers with very good retirement packages. Many members have been able to retire in their early 50s with 30 years of service and still receive as much as 80% of their working income, adjusted for inflation, for 25 years or more. In contrast, to receive similar benefits from a defined contribution plan, such as a 401k, the employee would have to work for 36 years. For this analysis, we assumed equal merit salary increases of 3%, inflation at 2%, employee contributions 8.5%, starting at age 28, and similar. Our proposed changes would result in less generous benefits, but would assure that the benefits could actually be paid on an ongoing basis. With the proposed changes, which we believe to be achievable and equitable, we can fully fund the plan. We propose extending the retirement age, eliminating health care benefits, adjustments to cost of living calculations, and differences in the employer contribution to the fund. First, the extended retirement age simply restores the average number of years that each retiree receives benefits to something closer to the original level. A new retirement age of 64 and a new early retirement age of 59 are necessary. This rule will fundamentally strengthen the plan by consolidating the Tier 1 and Tier 2 employees. The majority of savings come from receiving contributions for those additional years, and not from paying benefits. We should also prospectively reduce the benefit factor from 2.2% to 2.0%. The savings from this cut are included in the savings calculation for the new retirement age calculations. Taking into account increasing lifespans, it no longer makes sense for someone to work for 30 years, retire in his or her early 50s, and then collect full benefits for 25 to 30 years. The savings from this proposal are $3.2 billion, or approximately 33% of the savings. Next, eliminate the unfunded healthcare benefit. The healthcare benefit arguably is not a guaranteed pension benefit and is not protected by the pension clause in the state constitution. A case currently before the Illinois Supreme Court will confirm this conclusion. We contend the plan is not and has never been funded to cover these liabilities. This provides savings of $1.7 billion, or approximately 18%. Big savings come from altering the cost of living adjustments to the lower of 3% or 50% of CPI, simple interest not compounded. This further consolidates Tier 1 and Tier 2 employees. An adjustment is already incorporated in the Tier 2 structure with the lower COLA adjustment based on the lesser of 3% or 50% of CPI. Additionally, annual COLA adjustments will be made on a simple interest basis rather than compounding. This provides hefty savings of $3.1 billion, or approximately 1/3 of the savings needed. Additional savings can come from adjusting the pensionable salary to equal the average of the highest consecutive 8 years of salary in the last 10 years of employment, bringing a relatively modest savings of $0.6 billion, or approximately 5.9% of the savings needed. The Cook County government employer contribution to the plan is set by statute. 1.54 times the total employee contribution made 2 years earlier. If the fund underperforms, the UAAL increases, so does the risk of default. We recommend a lift on the cap of the county's contribution. We need to eliminate the required 1.54 funding factor and require Cook County to contribute the actuarially required contribution to bring the fund back to equilibrium year after year. This would raise $294 million in 2013, while resulting in a manageable $11 increase per person in Cook County paid by homeowners. This would require action by the state legislature and would affect all pensions in the state. The public understands that downgrading Illinois' credit rating costs the state as well. This provides a savings towards the plan of $0.9 billion, or approximately 9% of the savings required. Our proposed total savings marginally exceeds the unfunded accrued actuarial liability. Shown here at the bottom are the total savings required of members and the taxpayers of Cook County to collaborate in the solution to this daunting problem. State pension plans face similar structural problems as Cook County, and the governor and legislatures have been searching for constitutionally compliant solutions for the past several years, so far without success. Article 13, Section 5 of the Illinois Constitution makes change to current employee benefits extremely difficult. The Constitution includes the following: that pensions shall be an enforceable contractual relationship, the benefits of which shall not be diminished or impaired. It is assumed that any solution adopted by the state would be replicated by the county. The Tier 2 benefits in 2011 affected only benefits provided to new workers and did not decrease the unfunded accrued liabilities for existing workers and retirees. In May of 2013, Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle indicated that she had developed a solution to make the fund solvent in the long term, but does not envision changes to the law that govern the fund during this legislative session. Her solution was reported to include a later retirement age, a reduced cost of living allowance in the payments to retirees, and dedicated funding for retiree health care. Also included is an increase in the payments by both the county and the workers, with the hike proportionally the same for each. We had attention to these reforms as we formed our proposals. Success of the proposal hinges on collaboration. A local leader on pension reform has been Bridget Gaynor, 10th District County Court Commissioner and Chair of the Cook County Pension Committee, and is needed in the process. Trade union members would be helpful to giving perspective because of the influence of these changes in their lives. A similar strategy has been successfully employed at the state level. The county workers will have to agree to the long-term benefits of these changes. It is clear that any changes will require informing county residents and workers to spur them towards real change. The tax-paying property owners will have to contribute to fund the plan and preserve the services provided by county workers. Highly reputable pension experts are needed to provide an objective perspective to the proposal discussions. State legislation is entwined in this solution. The county funding method has to be changed. Currently, Illinois statute requires the county to contribute $1.54 for every $1 its employee contributes to the pension plan. No more, no less. Depending on the rate set by the state legislature is not a method for ensuring a large enough amount of money is put into the plan. In our strategy for success, we propose that the county be required to contribute each year the actuarial amount needed for solvency. This method is used by one of the best-run pension plans in the country, New York Common. The fund needs to reduce its AAL and raise its normal cost to offset the current UAAL of $9.3 billion. There is no doubt that changes in the plan will be challenging to implement. The changes affect many parties with different interests and motivations. Trade unions can be influential in persuading county workers that the current system is unsustainable, and inaction may lead to catastrophic economic consequences for the entire county. Reforms are needed to avoid catastrophe. We foresee increases in wages for the county workers as an inevitability. It is needed to attract talent and to offset cuts in benefits. A well-designed marketing campaign would inform taxpayers and workers of the costs and risks and the need for these changes. One potential approach is to enlist the support of reputable pension economists as consultants, John B. Shoven, Zvi Bodie, and David Weiss, for example. These professors authored a text entitled Issues in Pension Economics and are well versed in the pension-related financial analysis. They could serve as relatively objective proponents of pension reform and convince legislatures of the need and efficiency of the proposed changes. These efforts can lead to a fully funded plan and a model for other struggling pension plans. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our proposal. We see a brighter future for the Cook County Pension Plan with the implementation of this proposal and the strategies recommended.